let's just cut to the answer. Not really, but you should definitely consider it, okay? It all comes down to two things: taxes and what happens when someone gets really mad at you and it's your fault, or someone says it's your fault, that you did something bad, or somebody got hurt, or somebody got afflicted in some way, right? Here's what I mean. So first, the taxes. When it comes to your side hustle, if you're making like $20 here, $100 there, let's say you make a painting for somebody and you don't plan on making another painting for another 6 months, well, realistically, do you really need to start a business because of what, $200 a year? Maybe not, right? But let's say you wanted to do the painting every week. You're putting out $100 painting every week. That's a lot of money. It's $5,000 plus per year. Okay, yeah, you need to do a business, but you don't have to. And here's what I mean. So let's put it this way. You really have two options here, right? Do I go legit or do I go under the table? That's really the only two things you need to consider. Am I going legit or under the table? If I go legit, then I need to go get licensed, get a business license. I need to get a business name, basically all the stuff you see on the internet, like how to set up your business, right? Now, if I go under the table, well, of course, that's the easiest. But if something goes wrong and I make a mistake and somebody gets hurt, or I damage someone's property, then I'm in a world of trouble, okay? Because first of all, I wasn't licensed to do that thing. If something happens, they're gonna end up suing me personally, which means that I could lose my house, my car, and all kind of problems, right? They can come after me personally, right? So on one hand, doing it legit costs money. You have to pay for the licenses. It could be $100, $200. There's different things you have to do, the state and federal, to get your business going. County, city, it can be a lot. We'll talk about that later. But again, under the table, if you're just doing something every once in a while for your church or for your organization, or for, cutting someone's grass every once in a while, again, if you're not making more than $600 a year, then you're not really a business. It's more like just money you take in every once in a while. All right, here's the deciding factor. If you've ever gotten one of those things in the mail around tax time and it has 1099 on it, right? They'll typically say 1099 NEC, which means non-employee compensation. 1099 NEC. That means that whoever sent that to you was required to send it to you because you made too much money, right? They paid you enough money, which is typically over a certain dollar amount, and they're trying to prove that they sent the money because they want to get a deduction. That's a whole nother video. But when you get one of these forms, it means that you made a lot of money from one person, right? So you have to claim that. Basically, the IRS wants their money. So when you put in your work money, right, from your job, and then you have this 1099 NEC, you have to type that in there too. And if you use TurboTax or any type of tax preparation software, you know that when you type in the 1099 NEC number, your little tax refund goes down. Or you have it goes red because now you owe some money, right? That money is typically not taxed. Your job taxes your money for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But the 1099 money is not taxed. That means you got to pay the taxes once you file your taxes, right? Technically, you're supposed to do it 4 times a year. That we'll get to that. But my point is, you made too much money. They sent you a notice saying you need to report this to the IRS. And the IRS, once you do your taxes, is going to say, what is this for? What's this money for? And you're like, well, I painted something, or I did whatever. And they'll say, okay, well, that means you're self-employed. And you're like, no, I just did this one time. I don't plan on doing this forever. And they're like, no, you're self-employed, right? And they'll make you fill out a Schedule C, which means self-employment income, right? Whether you have a business or not. And that's why at the beginning, you don't necessarily need a business name, because from the IRS's perspective, if you get one of those 1099 NEC forms, you're a business. You are self-employed, whether it's an independent contractor or whatever. They don't care if you've filed the business licenses and you're registered with the state of they don't care. All they care about is that you got money that wasn't taxed and they want their cut. Okay? So from the IRS standpoint, when you do your taxes, if you get one of those 1099 forms, they want their cut. They don't care whether you have a license or not. They just know you have money that has not been taxed. It showed up on the form and you owe them money and they want their cut. That's all they care about, right? So from a tax side, it's not that complicated, right? You had money that wasn't taxed. They want their money. The end. IRS says you got a business. You're a business now, all right? Technically, you're a sole proprietorship. Do we need to go into all that right now? Not really. That's why I go back to the very beginning. That's why I answered your question up front. Not really. You don't have to have a business name or a separate business entity just to take in money. It's just that if someone sends you one of those forms, the 1099 NEC forms, or sometimes it'll be a 1099 MISC, but typically it's NEC, whatever. You get one of those forms, you got to report it, and therefore you have to pay the taxes on it, right? So let's go to the other side, where it's someone gets really mad at you and they want to sue you, right? Here's where it's beneficial to have a separate business that you start, right? More than likely, you're going to call it something that's other than your name, right? It'll be, painting partners, whatever, artistry incorporated. I don't know, right? I'm not here to really talk about the type of business you should get, whether it's an LLC or a corporation. There's plenty of videos on that. All I'm really trying to get you to understand is that the reason why you want to have a business name that's separate from you, just doing business as you, is because if something goes wrong, they can go after the money that the business owns and not your money. Does that make sense? It means that if I have a business bank account and I put all the money from my business into this business account, and I've structured my business in a way that is just not me, which means I'm not a sole proprietorship, right? I'm an LLC, I'm a corporation, I'm whatever. I'm some type of other thing. And again, we'll talk about that later. But the idea is if something goes wrong and somebody sues me, the person suing me can only go after the money and the assets and the property and the equipment that belongs to the business. Not my house, not my car, not my boat, not my personal stuff, right? Things happen, right? That's why you have insurance. But again, you typically have insurance on the business. You can have insurance on you that covers like your little side hustle, but again, we can go into that. But the idea is keep you separate from your business stuff as far as someone being able to sue you, right? So there's the tax stuff. IRS doesn't really care. But then there's the whose fault is it? Well, you need to be legit, because the more legit you are, the more you're licensed, the more you follow the rules and cross all the T's, dot all the I's. If something goes wrong, the worst that can happen is that your business goes into bankruptcy. But if you don't do that stuff, you do everything under the table, the worst that can happen is you lose your house. You get your wages garnished because someone comes after you personally because of an accident. Whether you intended that accident to happen or it was legitimate, hey, I'm sorry, like a legitimate, no intention to hurt people, right? So just keep that in mind. Long story short, you don't have to go out and renegade a business just because you made a couple of dollars. But if you ever get one of those forms, the 1099 NEC forms, you're going to have to report it. You're going to have to pay taxes. The IRS is going to assume you're a business anyway. You might as well go legit and do the business stuff so that everything's taken care of. And again, later on, we'll talk about what type of structure should you have in corporation or LLC or sole proprietor. There's things you can do to reduce the chances of someone suing you and you getting your life ruined, insurance being one of them. But we'll talk about that. But I just wanted to answer that question really quick. It's supposed to be really quick, but of course it ended up being 10 minutes long. So, I like to talk. So my bad. Bye.